guys, weather's been really poor this week, so I can't even film outside. Welcome to the channel, I'm CK, and this week we are going to talk about how to grip your own rackets. So essentially, grips are our connection to the racket and how you hold it, and everyone has a personal feel of how they like their racket gripped. And so today I'm going to show you three types. So a PU grip, a thin overgrip, and a towel grip. So I'm going to show you three types of grips and how to grip them. I will also show you how to prepare your racket, making sure that it's ready for gripping. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I will link all my other badminton related videos, including stringing and the tools, as well as some first person view badminton videos. I will link it up here. Please do check it out. So let's get to it. So let's start with a racket with an old grip that you want to change. So essentially, no matter what grip it is, so this is a towel grip, no matter what grip it is, just literally peel it off. You can peel it from the bottom or the top. It tends to be easier from the top. Just remember to take your time, and there's no rush in this. Once done, you should see your wooden handle. However, in this case, I have a layer of electrical tape that is protecting the wood. I'm also going to take this off so we can put a fresh one on to protect the wood from our sweaty palms or anything that could seep in from the grip onto the wooden handle. So now we have our bare wooden handle. I think you can also see that there is some fluff. There is remnants of the original grip that came with the racket. When you take that off, they sometimes do leave residue from the double-sided tape from the original grip, and it's very hard to take them off. And this is a closer look. They tend to be fairly flat and don't cause unnecessary ridges, so it's actually fine. So here we have the electrical tape that I'm going to use to actually cover the wooden handle with it. All we do is I start it underneath on the base of the grip, and I tend to go maybe a loop or two around it before working my way up the whole wooden handle of the racket grip. As this is really thin and you can pull it quite tight, I tend to have about 50% overlap. A third to 50% overlap is okay, and they should do the job okay. So when we get to the top, I tend to do an extra loop before cutting it off and making sure it's flush to the cone of the handle, and just gently press the tape into itself, and there you go. You have your wooden handle now protected from any potential wet damage coming through your grip. So here I've got a roll of towel grip. If it helps you to align, you can cut a corner off the edge of your starting towel grip section and start from the base of the racket. Don't worry too much about the bottom bit of the racket. Try and align it to the butt of the wooden handle and slowly make your way up. I say this because once we finish gripping all the way to the top, we will be coming back down and work on the bottom of the towel grip. So now the main thing is to make sure that they sit flush against each other with no ridges. Or if you prefer ridges, that's absolutely fine. Personally, I don't prefer it. I don't like to have any ridges on my towel grip, so I'm just focusing on making sure anything that is on the racket, the towel, isn't overlapping. And because the butt of the racket, which is where the plastic bit at the very bottom of the racket handle is uneven in shape, and that's why you will have to be constantly adjusting your towel grip to make sure that they fit around the wooden handle of the racket completely flush. The main thing is to take your time and not worry. If you do it wrong, you can always take it off and readjust it until it sits perfectly fine to your liking. So don't worry and take your time. So now that we've got all the way to the top of the racket, I like to finish mine on top of the cone. So I'm now checking what length do I need before I make the cut of the towel grip. And remember, because we are finishing, we need to be cutting from the angle which ensures the top side of the towel grip is the last edge, meaning it has the longest piece coming through as shown here. So take your time and be careful when cutting off the main reel of the grip, and peel off the backing paper for the double-sided adhesion tape, and stick the towel grip onto the handle of the racket, or in this case the cone of the racket for me. Once done, you can squeeze the racket handle off your grip a few times while twisting it to provide more pressure to safely secure it at the very top. We now move back to the bottom of the racket, where we look to tidy off the base of the racket handle and finish off the toweling grip completely. With the same theory as before, take your time in reseating the towel grip onto the racket handle and finishing at the base, at the butt of the racket. Once you're finished, you can squeeze your newly freshly gripped towel grip on the racket whilst twisting it a few times just to apply more pressure, and press in any part that is extra on the base of the racket onto the butt of the racket, which is where the logo is, to secure it even further and enjoy the racket with a fresh towel grip. So we are now going to look at the PU grip, which is the polyurethane grip. So they tend to be a replacement grip, which means they are slightly thicker. They also have double-sided tape underneath them, so they can be adhered directly onto the wood of your racket handle. So the example that I have today with me is the Caracal PU Super Grip, which are quite long and quite thick, but they are very nice to hold and very grippy. And once you unroll them, they have a slightly thinner side which says start, which tells you where to start. However, because of how I grip, I tend to finish with them, so I don't use the finishing tape that came with the racket grip. So for me to start, as I finish with the start end, so I start at the opposite end of the grip, and so I peel off some of the backing paper on both sides of the tape, as well as the clear film to protect the tackiness, and I line it up as flush as I can onto the butt of the racket and start turning. So you can pull it slightly tight to get a good grip on as well. And from here, as I know that the Caracal grip is slightly longer than usual, say an Ashaway brand or a Yonex one, I tend to do 2 rounds at the very base of the racket handle, as I do like the feeling of having a slightly wider butt base at the bottom of the racket before starting to go up onto the wooden handle of the racket. And from here, you try and have at least a quarter overlap of the grip as you slowly wind your way up the wooden handle of the racket. And as usual, just take your time, there's no rush. I tend to peel the backing paper as I go along. Some people like to peel it all together on both sides. It's entirely up to you. Try both so you know which one you like, and take your time. So as we approach the top of the wooden handle underneath the cone, around the cone area, and at the finishing point of the PU grip, I don't mind the grip finishing on the cone or above the cone of my racket, as I like to finish on the thinner end of the grip, which saves me cutting it at an angle, cutting any of the grip at all. And so here I finally pull off completely the backing paper of both sides, and then slowly wind it all the way up, all the way to the finish. And there you go. So that's how I do my PU grip on my rackets. So all the way from the broad end all the way up to the skinny end at the very top without the use of the finishing tape, which I tend to prefer because it looks neater, cleaner, and it saves me from cutting any of the grip off before I finish the grip on my racket. However, as an added bonus, and for the ones who are wondering, I'll show you guys how to put on the finishing tape. So you peel back the backing paper on the finishing tape and you lay it on the very top part of your finishing grip, and you try and round it around the top end of the racket without causing any creases or folds. If you can pull them quite tight, or you can just pull it, snap it halfway through if it's too long or it's making too many rounds if you feel. So yeah, this is why I prefer not to use any finishing tape, because it causes me more hassle, or it could just make it look unneat. So, but it's personal preference, so try it. So we are on to our final grip, which is a Overwrap or a Grap in very simple terms. It is the thinnest one of the all, and it doesn't have any kind of double-sided adhesion tape on the back of it. So it tends to go on top of PU grips or the original grips that came with the racket. So it's just to add more tackiness onto it, or have a better feeling onto the older grips, and it is relatively easy to put on. So here, just to show that there are no tape behind it, I pull it slightly out just to show you. And then also I again like to finish on the thinner side of the Grap because it's neater, and because the tape on the side isn't completely flush at the very end, I snip off just one part of it so that the double-sided tape finishes on the very end of the Grap. So I completely pull the whole Grap out as I start on the broad end, which is on the very base of the racket, and then I align it onto the base of the racket and then start turning. So this tends to go on PU grips, and so this one is a used PU grip, and again I try and do 2 loops before winding my way up the grip. So you can decide on how tight you want to pull the Grap. So the tighter it is, the thinner it is. And so after 2 loops, I make my way slowly up the racket. And similar with the PU grip, you want to have at least a quarter overlap in between each loop. You can also follow your previous PU grip if it was done nicely. So, but it's entirely a personal preference. I have seen friends and colleagues who prefer halfway overlap, or some of them prefer quarter overlap. It's completely up to you. Try it, and then you find out which one you prefer. So here you can just follow so I'm following the previous PU grip on my way up towards the cone of the racket handle. And as I get close to the cone of the racket, my overlap percentage slightly increases because there are still just a bit more Grap left when I got close to it, but then it doesn't affect any of the change, any of the feel, and I don't mind it. And when I get to the very end, I just peel off the very end bit of the Grap so that it attaches onto itself and makes it look as neat as possible. And there we go. So that's a Grap done on a racket. So quick recap, here we've done an Overwrap or Grap, as well as a PU grip, and then a towel grip on a badminton racket. It would work exactly the same on tennis rackets and other rackets, and you simply just need electrical tape for preparing your racket, as well as a pair of scissors, and that's it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment on what type of grip you use. I will also be talking about the AirShuttle very soon. They are launched by the BWF earlier this year in April, and they are outdoor badminton shuttles, so I will be having a look at them very closely very soon. So please subscribe to the channel to know when they are released, and I will keep you updated. I will see you again next time.